Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Welcome to a new edition of the Sports Shop 27. I'm your host, Jermaine Coulter. To my far right, I got my main man, KJ, former
That's
Clemson
right, man.
cornerback, 99 to 2002. And today's special guest, we got a former Canadian Football League
That's
defensive
right,
lineman
man.
in the house. This guy's been playing football since 1979. He's
Long
played
time.
on a lot of teams. He's from Montreal. He's from Canada, and he's
Montreal.
also, as an author. He has a book out on Amazon. You can go check that out. He's the oldest football player right now that I know in America.
Alive, baby.
He just finished his last season maybe a few days ago. He's 61 years old, and he has a story to
Yeah.
tell us. If y'all help me welcome
Come on
Mr.
with it, man.
Burns. What's
Yeah,
going
yeah.
on, Darin?
Not too much,
Hey,
man.
hey,
How you doing,
welcome to the
guys?
show, man.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
yeah. No real.
All
Oh,
right.
So,
yeah.
Well, the people that don't know you, Darin, let them know where you're from and a little bit about your background.
well, I'm from Toronto area. I've been living up in Moncton. I've been playing football back in Ontario for the Burlington Longhorns this year. I started my journey playing football in 1979, and junior at the age of 15, playing for the Etobicoke Argos with guys that were 18 to 22 years of age, and went through there and then into the CFL. Bounced around on CFL teams on practice rosters and training camps, and then I made the Alouettes in '87. The team folded, so I was out of a job that year. Then '88 is in Ottawa, blew my knee out of a job again, and I've just been playing semi-pro football ever since.
Okay.
Sure, man. Yeah. Hey, Jermaine, we got a long resume here, man. That's what's
Yeah.
up. Hey, so what age you start playing sports? And what sport was your first love growing up in
Well,
Canada?
it was kind of a weird thing. Being Canadian, I played hockey. Like, I grew up in group home stuff, so I didn't have any money. So, I played hockey as a goaltender because the leagues would supply you the goalie gear. So I played goalie and baseball because baseball you need a glove and a ball and a bat and away you go, right? So
Oh,
I
yeah,
did
most
those
definitely.
sports, and I didn't start playing football until I was 14. I was at a group home, and I decided that I would go to a football camp run by the Toronto Argonauts, and I went there and I bought some gear from the high school that I was at, and I attended, and I had a blast. I really liked it, and I met my mentor, um, Bruce Smith uh, um, um, he was the captain of the Toronto Argos, and he uh, you know gave me a ride home from hitchhiking, and our relationship started from there. So it was kind of an interesting way for me to get introduced to football was by going to a camp and then meeting the captain of the Toronto Argos, and then he got me a job as a ball boy with the Argos. So, and I was a ball boy with the Argos with Alonzo Highsmith and Eric Mercath because both their dads played on the team. So it was uh, that's how I got my taste into playing, getting involved in football. And Forrest Gregg was the coach, and if anybody follows football, Vince Lombardi said the greatest football player he ever coached was Forrest Gregg, and I got to be Forrest Gregg's ball boy for 2 years. So it kind of got my
All right.
DNA developed around football between all by having all these kind of influences around me.
All right.
Man, good
So,
stuff.
so you say you met Bruce, out at the camp, and before you met him, let's talk about your background a little bit with you and your brothers. Like, just let everybody know because you're a big advocate for child abuse.
Yeah.
Let everyone know the story about your background up until that day and how kids can overcome any adversity and you can dream as far as you want.
Yeah, well, basically, the reason why I'm playing football today is to bring awareness to child abuse because I was an abused kid growing up. I was beaten as a child, abandoned. My father used to kick the crap out of me for on a regular basis. I was raped at 4.5 years of age to the age of 6 by male babysitters. My mother drank and took off, so I didn't really have any parents growing up. Again, when I was 10 years old in the Salvation Army, the same thing happened to me by a worker there. He would offer you cigarettes and then expect favors. And if you didn't perform the favors, he would say that he would tell on you. So you were kind of forced. So he was a sexual predator that worked in the Salvation Army Children's Village in London, Ontario. So I bounced around. I went to 27 different schools by the time I was in grade 9. I had a pretty, I was 7 years old stealing food from grocery stores, doing anything I could to survive as a kid and look after my brother. The one time my parents both split up, I was 4.5. My brother was a year and a half old. and my parents had a fight, and they took off, and they both left, and each one thought the other one had the kids. It wasn't the case, and it was 9 days of being alone with my brother in the apartment, and the neighbors started figuring things out, so they called the police and my grandmother, and they came in, and there was, yeah, it was a 4 year old. I was in the kitchen baking an angel food cake. There were shitty diapers all over the place, and they came walking in, and then they took us out, and gave us to my grandmother and then to my father, and that's when the abuse happened. So and for so many years in my life, I didn't talk about it. I was selfish, like as men, in our generation, it's hard to talk about it because you're gonna have that stigma of having sex or what. It was very uncomfortable to discuss it. So I kept it inside of me for 55 years, and it just ate a hole in my heart and my guts, everything. And so I felt that in this last 5 years of football that and with Bruce passing, and I'll get into Bruce later on, but he became a minister and he worked with abused kids. And we have a lot of problems in society today where we have homelessness, drug addiction, people in jail, and suicide. And if you take a look at that, 80% of them have been abused, whether it's sexually, physically, mentally, or what have you. So they give up on life and they end up becoming homeless or this or that. They don't have any proper direction. And I have a saying that that a tree can't grow without roots. So how can a child, if you take the roots away from a kid at an early age, how do you expect that child to grow up to be normal? I was fortunate that I got to meet Bruce Smith, and my life is very similar to what Michael Orr's is in The Blind Side, in the sense that he was taken in by a white family and taken on. I was taken in by a black football player that went through segregation and racism and living in the deep south of Texas in the 50s, which wouldn't be fun for a black man to grow up in. And he put me under
Right.
my wing, and he became my father. So I wear 61. I play the same position as Bruce to honor Bruce. Bruce became a minister in life. I can't do that. I'm not equipped for that, but I'm still doing some of his work that he was doing while he was on the planet. He died of pancreatic cancer in 2013. And every time I play, I go visit his grave. When I'm down in Toronto, I stop at the cemetery and spend a half hour with him. And for me, the last 5 years of playing football, I felt that his spirit's been with me as I've been going through this journey. And, the story's getting a lot of traction. I've had 8 million viewers between my Instagram and Facebook this past month. And, and I've been getting a lot of kind messages and stuff like that. So the story of how I got into football was by fluke, meeting Bruce. It was fate or what have you. And he became he was the first person to ever show me unconditional love in my life. And when you can do that to kids and show them respect, you don't know how great they're going to grow to, and, in society today, we've got a lot of crap that's going on with, I'll just use the States example because in Canada, you guys wouldn't, may not understand it, but Democrat, Republican, they're all fighting. They're not getting anything done. Everything is all, oh, it's conspiracy this and conspiracy that, or I hate this person because of this. Where did all this stuff come from? As human race, we all just got to learn to get along. And that's one of the things I love about football. It doesn't matter what color you are, how much money you have, and all stuff. It matters what you have inside here. And, and that is what is such a strong brotherhood. And I've been totally blessed to play this game. It's the greatest game in the world.
Cool.
Yeah.
And I
Hey,
and
yeah,
I
you
was
went
and
through
I
a
and I
lot.
didn't plan on playing. The football chose me. You know.
That's what's up,
Yeah,
man. That's
like I was saying, I see, you went through a lot. Talk about how sports help you get through it.
hmm Well, that the sports, when I play in a game, I used to think about that 4 year old being raped in bed, and so I used to play with a lot of anger. And I did quite well. I've got records that still stand today that have been held up for 40 years for sacks in a game, season, and career. Um, but it helped me because I mean, God, if I didn't have football, I'd probably been in jail for murder or something like that because I had a lot of anger inside of me, and football was was a way for me to get it
To
out.
release it. Hmm.
So like I was a big kid. Even today, I'm for a 61-year-old. I'm 6'5", 290. With a 34 waist. So I got a lot of I still got some power in the body and stuff like that. So
Oh yeah, man.
just but the last 5 years I've been playing with love in my heart.
That's great, man. So you
Yeah.
took football, you challenged that into your life as a gateway to get release some of that aggression. Now that you're 61, what is your message? What have football shown you so far to where you can look inside yourself and say, now you play with love with
Well,
that?
everything in my life is all comes around football. I've had some great coaches. I've had Marv Levy as a coach. I've had Doug Trimble, Al Bruno, Forrest Gray as a ball boy, Papa Joe Farragelli. I might forget a few other ones. Dave Lane. I always take a little bit from each of these coaches because they all teach you things on how to grow up to be men. Because as a coach in football, they become your surrogate father. So you're going to die for them. You're going to do whatever you got to do for them. So I always look at my coaches as a parent figure. And so football, till this day, I still conduct myself. My life is like a football game. It's, you know, on a football field, Coach Trimble always say, control your mind, control your body. Well, if you're in business, you got to control your mind. If you don't control your mind, you're not going to make any money because someone's going to do business with you. So football teaches you about discipline. It teaches you about how to get along with everybody. Even the guy beside you, you could hate his guts, but you still go to work, put your lunch bucket down, and you go to work and you get the job done. Afterwards, you don't go out for a beer with them or whatever, but you learn how to work with whatever you've got there and stuff like that. I just like the idea that in football, we can raise our aggression to such a height, and then when the whistle blows, we drop it back down, and then we go back up. Some kids today, especially the younger generation, they don't know how to turn it off. They keep chirping. I call them chihuahuas, and they don't know how to shut their mouth sometimes. And I try to tell the kids, I said, been playing for 47 years. I've never won a football game with my mouth. So when the ref blows the whistle, it's over. Shut up. Get back to the huddle. If you don't like the call, deal with it in the next play. But football has taught me everything that I know in life. I always go back to referring things.
Okay.
Man. Let's talk about your high school career. How did you do in high school?
High school, I didn't play high school football. It was kind of funny. So this is a funny story. Um, I, I didn't want to play high school football. I was playing junior football, which was like JUCO in the States. And my high school football coach, he failed me in phys ed in grade 9 because I would not play on the high school football team. I failed. So I ended up quitting school, and my teacher told me I would not amount to anything. So 4 years later, I got asked to go back to the school to do a speech to talk to the kids at the school because now I'm playing pro football. And I remember going to the teacher's parking lot, and I pulled in with my brand new Corvette in the parking lot. And I got out and I went into the school and I talked to the kids and all that stuff. And then as I was walking out, that teacher said that I wouldn't amount to anything to me. He was getting into his Chevette while I was getting into my Corvette. And I looked at him. I said, "Yep, you're right. You're right. Teach. I would never mastered anything." That was my best, you could do to a teacher.
Hey,
So
man.
but I don't have an education. I have street knowledge. So that's basically, you know, um, how I've learned everything from the streets.
All right. So you started playing professional. You said
Yes, sir.
15.
I was playing junior football at 15. My first tryout in the pros, I was 20 years of age in 84.
Okay.
I went through the mini camp, training camp with them. And then in 85, I was with the Tie Cats in training camp and then practice roster. 86. And then I played junior football and I would have the pro team. So I'd be an affiliate player. So you didn't affect the numbers on the team, the roster numbers.
Gotcha.
So you were kind of owned, but you weren't on the roster. So I got a $500 a week paycheck from them, and then I played my junior football in Burlington, and I just tore it up there. I had a really good 2 years playing there, and then once my junior eligibility left, the Montreal Alouettes had an injury with one of the linemen, so my rights got traded from Hamilton to Montreal, and I went up to Montreal in the fall of '86. Was up there for about a month, and then came back down to finish my season with the junior team. And then in '87, I signed with them, and then the team went bankrupt. So it was not there. And then '88, I signed back in the CFL with Ottawa. Actually, if you remember, a quarterback back in the '80s, Art Schleister, the gambler. He was our quarterback. He was my roommate for a little bit too. So he was
All
he was an interesting cat.
right.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
He was the number one overall pick in the NFL, and he was the Ohio State quarterback, and he was first player picked for the Colts
Yep.
as their quarterback. Yeah, he called me one time. Said, "Darren, I got this great business investment stuff like that," and he was talking to me on the phone. And then the next day, I didn't realize where he was calling me from. They had 60 Minutes on CBS on. He was in Las Vegas jail for gambling bets.
Oh man.
Yeah, but he was a hell of an athlete. I've never seen a quarterback as good as him. What a waste of talent. I seen him get hit, and as he's falling down, he's about 6 inches from the ground. He just slung the ball like that, hit the receiver 20 yards down on the numbers before his body hit the ground. I was just like, wow. Like, but he had a great personality. Like he had a defensive lineman personality. Because usually, excuse me, I know you're a quarterback, but usually quarterbacks are usually the snobs in the locker room. They don't talk to us. They kind of do their thing. They're almost like a coach, if you will. Art wasn't. He
Mhm.
was the guy to get up there, scratch himself, get up there to, on the tape where you have to get taped. He'd scratch a number, put his number on the top. He was just like one of the guys. So he was a unique player. But I really liked him as a person. But you know, the addictions of gambling got him. So
Got you.
Hey, talk about some of your coaches that help you play defensive line.
pardon me.
Talk about some of your coaches that help you play defensive line.
Well, I had Swift. I didn't. It's kind of weird when you say that. Playing junior football, no one really taught me. I shouldn't say that. I watched because Bruce was the captain of the Argos, and I watched Bruce play. And still to this day, I would go on YouTube and I'd pull up some of his old videos playing, and I'd watch them to remind myself how I've got to play. So I learned how to play defensive line from watching Bruce play. And then, like I said, I didn't have technique back in those days. I was a nasty. I ran a 4.75 at bench press 225 for 37 reps. I didn't need technique. I just grab the guy, throw him, and go. Like so. It's I played defense line with aggression, and then over the years, you kind of like I think in the last 5 years of my career now, I've probably worked on my technique more because of age. I don't run a 4.75 anymore. I run like a 5.6, 5.5 and change in a 40, which isn't bad for a 61-year-old at 290, but
Oh, not at
it
all.
it's still I had to refine my game where, doing positioning, getting my hands in a certain way and, keeping my outside arm clear. So I had to overcome the lack of speed with the knowledge that I gained over the years up here. So, I think in the last 5 years I defined myself, but no one really coached me defensive line. It was I was just a nasty SOB, and that's the way I played my game.
Yeah.
All right.
So with the combination of skill and potential, and also the IQ for the game, once that skills develop and the IQ takes over, it's real easy to learn the game, because now you can play for a long time because you're not as fast.
Mhm.
So making that transition and doing that, you got injured, right? So what made you come back after you got injured?
Well, I've had a few injuries in my career. I've had 5 knee operations. I mean, in the
Yeah.
last 5 years now, like that I've been playing. Okay, let's see. I the first game playing in 21, it was cold, and I remember I was running in the beginning of the second quarter, and I tore my hamstring, and it was like from my calf up to my rear end, it was just all black, and I was getting suction and stuff like that. But a lot of people said that I couldn't play at that age, So I didn't want to give those a-holes an opportunity to start, slamming me and saying things and stuff like that. So I worked through it. I played the entire season with a torn hamstring, and I led the league in sacks.
Mm.
Okay. Then the next year, before the season started, I was with a friend of mine, and we were driving, and we are coming back from practice in Hamilton, driving back to Moncton, New Brunswick, which was like a 1,100-mile drive. And we were going to fly, but we drove that time. So I drove through Ontario. He drove Quebec, and I would take on from New Brunswick. So as soon as we crossed over the New Brunswick border, I said, "Are you okay, Gabe?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, the next exit, I'll take over." So I reached down, started putting on my shoes, and all of a sudden I hear he fell asleep. We hit the snowbank and we rolled 8 times, 125 yards down the highway.
Whoa.
Landed upside down. I ended up with broken ribs. So now I'm starting the season with broken ribs. I
Hmm.
played through the whole season. Last year I played. Well, there's my finger. It's nice. It's a nice bend. Snapped my finger, and tore my patella tendon in my right knee. I played through the whole season. Now this year was a special year because I'm 61. I wear 61. It's to honor Bruce. That this whole thing has been to honor Bruce. But I end up in the first quarter of the first game of the season. Um, this ball carrier was coming across. I kind of came across with my arm to rip to punch the ball out. I had his helmet right here, and then one of my other players jumped on top of him, and I was holding him, and I tore my bicep. So my bicep came up to here. I just taped it down, iced it, and I played the entire season with a torn bicep
Wow,
Wow.
man.
at 61. I don't know how many guys can play with a torn bicep the whole
No.
season. I
No.
did
Yeah,
at
that's
61.
young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like when you
Crazy,
talk about,
man.
that's why I say like being a tough SOB, like it is. My girlfriend will tell you different. She thinks I'm a pussy, but you know,
Dang.
I I ache and pain and complain and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, um, you know, Bruce always taught me that if you ain't hurt, not if you're not feeling any pain, you're not playing hard enough. I remember when I was a ball boy for the Argos, Bruce tore out his knee, and he knew his career was finished at that point. So the trainer was out there, and Bruce didn't swear a lot, but I could hear him drop the F bomb and say, "Get the F away from me." And he pushed the trainer and the equipment manager away, and he stood up and he walked off the field on his own. And he looked at me and he said, "Never crawl off of the field." So, I think, from coaching, and you get back to your question, Bruce is the guy but I just watched him. He didn't coach me. I just watched him. This guy was um, a, a mean, nasty son of a bitch when he played on the football field. Everyone was scared of him. He went to Colorado. He was one of 3 black guys at the school program. He had a lot. He went through a lot. He so when he played the same way I did, with anger, piss and vinegar. And that's and I think that's where we connected. It was just like like the guy in front of me, just going to grab him, throw him away, and go get the guy with the ball. And that's the way that that's the way Bruce taught me to play the game.
That's
Wow. Oh. Hey, playing for the Burlington Longhorns.
Mhm.
Who was the competition?
It was Sarnia. We lost to them on Saturday night in the championship game. They're a good team. We have a good team. Our problem was our offense, yeah, turned the ball over too much. We had a snap where there's a low snap. The punter grabbed the ball, but his knee hit the ground, so it's a dead right there on that spot. So we turned the ball over on the 25. The quarterback threw a pick six. There was just there were, like, in Canada we have 3 downs, so 2 downs and punt and you get out kind of thing. So we had a lot of 2 and outs, 2 and outs, and 2 and outs. When it's 90 degrees, 92 degrees out, it wears on our defense. I mean, we were doing well. Most of the points, but we were giving up the ball too much on our side of the line, and that's what kind of killed us. And then also the kids are young, so they tend to chirp off a little bit to the other team, and you have to have respect for the game. And the thing about when I always tell kids, because I had when I was 14, I met Walter Payton. I had to sit with him for a football game while he watched his brother play for the Argos, and Walter talked to me about how to be great and what you have to do and all that kind of stuff. But the thing about it is that the kids today, they don't respect the game, and I think that's in all levels. I mean, you lay out a player, the players get up and all fired up, and I get it. You get all fired up, but they don't seem to understand what happens when you lay a player out. And you, like, if I take you and I knock your ass onto the ground, I get up and I just walk away, go back to my huddle. It's eerily quiet. No one's going to say anything. Now, if I lay your ass out and I'm chirping over top of you, You're getting fired up. Your teammates are getting fired up. Now, all you've done is you've taken that play that I knocked your ass out, and now I just fired up the other team where it should be firing up our team by keeping you quiet, right? So the kids have to understand you got to use your brain when you play this game. That's where I get back to it. It's like controlling your mind. But part of the game is like a doctor or a surgeon. He's in doing his operation. He's operating the brain, and the person survives, and everything's great. He doesn't take the scalpel and slam it on there and start yahoo and screaming. So that's our job. My job is to hit you hard, put you to the ground. That's it. Get back up. I don't need to be jumping around doing it. Just get back to the huddle and shut up, and the next play's coming. And that's where kids get in trouble today because they get fired up. Then you start chirping on both sides, and then penalties start happening, and the game gets all out of crap, and it's gone too gangster, as far as I'm concerned. But you have to love and respect this game because it is the greatest game. You look at all the sports. In football, you got to go to university. You went to university. You got to go to university. You got to get that degree. You got to get that stuff. It pushes you through because at 20 years of age, and I know this as a fact, you're physically not ready. That's why my body fell apart going into pro. I mean, by the time I was 22, I was into 3 training camps with the pros. As a lineman, my joints hadn't matured yet. I put a lot of pressure on my body. I personally think that I could have been a Hall of Fame football player if I would have waited another 4 years.
Gotcha.
I pushed myself too hard. And I think that's my big mistake.
Yeah. So I got some clips I want to show the people. For everybody that's watching, make sure you subscribe to our channel. Subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Deezer, Instagram, Facebook, all your social media platforms. We have former CFL defensive lineman Darin Burns. All right, played since 1979. Played his last game on Saturday. 61 years old. A hell of a story. I'm going to get to this clip real quick. I don't own the rights to it. Darin, please don't sue me. And stick with me, okay?
Yep.
All right.
Don't sue
and
us.
He tells us why.
I like the challenge because people have always said I can't do it. So, people don't see what I see. So, I visualize myself playing. So for me, it's a comfort zone.
David Bowie explained best. Aging is an extraordinary process where you become the person you always should have been. At 61 years old, current Burlington Longhorns defensive lineman Darin Burns is doing something he dreamed of doing in his youth.
When I was 4 and 5 years of age, my parents, they split up. And they both forgot my brother and I. They took off. They were gone for 9 days. Social services came by and they found me, and actually was in the kitchen. Police came in with my grandmother, and they took us out of there.
Burns was soon placed in his father's care.
So my dad was looking after us, but my dad drove truck. So he would hire babysitters, but he hired male babysitters that were pedophiles. And then later on in life, I was under the care of the Salvation Army Children's Village in London, Ontario, and a worker there abused me.
His life would soon change.
I was in a group home. I was 14 years old. I decided to go to this football camp run by the Toronto Argos. At the end of the camp, I was walking down the street hitchhiking to go back to my group home, and this big black Mercedes pulls up and the window comes down and goes, "Hey boy, what are you doing hitchhiking?"
In the car was Texas native, Colorado Buffaloes great, the godfather of rapper Drake, and Canadian football legend Bruce Smith.
So I got in his car and he dropped me off at my group home. But what was so cool about it was the next day, there's a knock on my door at the group home, and it was Bruce.
The CFL star took Burns under his wing.
Growing up in Brownsville, Texas, in the 50s, being black would not be a picnic. And to have an abusive stepfather and all this kind of stuff in his life. And then to stop and pick up a skinny, long-haired white kid showed to me that love has no color.
The veteran football player has suited up since 1979, but he's set to call it a career. And he's got his guardian angel in mind, who passed away in 2013.
Bruce's football number was 61. My number is number 61. I play defensive end and defensive line. I am 61 years of age. You can't ask for a better cherry.
Yes, sir. We back.
Awesome story, man.
So
no, actually, there was a picture there with my son. My son's was a hell of a football player. He decided not to go pro. He had his opportunities after university. Actually, he was made first team All State Virginia. Went to Episcopal High. Was there for 2 seasons, and then he had scholarship offer down Tennessee. He left there to come back up to Canada to play, and he made Rookie of the Year and first team All OUA and all that kind of stuff. But he decided to become a cop. But his last year in university, I talked to my coach and I asked if possible Taylor could play in the game one series. So they're kind of him and Han. They said, sure. But, because it's me playing. It's kind of, that doesn't usually happen. Because I mean, when he was born, I was 36 years old. I'm holding a 5-pound baby in my hand. Never in a million years did I ever think that I'd be playing beside him. So he came in, he played the game, and he came and played the one series, and he looked at me. He says, "Dad, I'm having too much fun." So I said, well, screw the school. Let's just go. So he and I played the entire game together, and he had 4 tackles. I had 3. We both had sacks. So it was an amazing thing I would trade 5 Super Bowls. I'd trade all Tom Brady's rings for that moment of playing with your kid. That to me is something that will stay with me forever. And everyone at that game will always remember that time. People, you ask who won the Super Bowl 8 years ago, who won it? Well, you probably say the Patriots because they won a lot better at that time. But like that was a moment that it was just incredible, and I was truly blessed. So that's my, people ask me what my highlight is in my career, playing beside my son at 60 years of age.
Yeah,
It's great.
You ask any football guy if he had an opportunity to play with his son down the road, would he do it? We'd all say hell yeah. I got to do it.
Yeah, Jermaine. That's like LeBron James and Bronny, right?
Yeah. Except I get hit in basketball. Let's face it, guys. Like, come on. I mean, that you get hit in basketball, but like it's a warm up in a football game. All right, like it's like somebody says to me, somebody goes to me and says, "Oh, there's a guy 66 years of age playing receiver. He got one pass thrown to the whole season." I'm like, or a guy that's a kicker. I mean, I'm counting kickers as football players. So, but we're playing defensive tackle beside each other. So that's a little different neighborhood.
Yeah. So let me ask you, what type of food you put in that body to keep yourself fueled up to play against these?
Going this long.
Did it for 4 decades. That's a long time.
Yeah, I've done all kinds of crazy things in my days. Back in the days, McDonald's was a favorite thing. When you're young, you're at your body and stuff like that. But in the last 5 years, I had this lady. I was fortunate. Her name was Sonia out of Halifax, and she started working with me on, I used to call it a diet, and she used to give me shit all the time. It's not a diet. It's not a diet. It's a lifestyle. So I turned it into that. We eliminated sugar. We did some things. I still cheat on that. I still like my snacks, and my girlfriend will tell you that. But for a 300-pound man, I eat pretty good. I've been in the last 5 years. Oh, and I've had cancer. I beat cancer as well in the last 5 years. I had prostate cancer. I played through that. I had a heart attack in 2015, and I managed to get through that. So the diet has been, excuse me, Sonia, the lifestyle that I chose about eating well, and my girlfriend supports that today, is just eating good. Just I try to stay away from crappy foods now. Now I'm making myself salads, and I'm barbecuing. I'm doing all kinds of good things to eat for my body. So yeah, but I was eating about 7,000 calories a day.
Hey, you've been through it all, man. I applaud you for coming on the show, telling your story, having that courage to talk about some of the things you've been through.
It's basically what I want. And there's a thing on the video you showed. There's a lot of kids and stuff like that. And what I'm trying to do is, it's a message for the kids. I'm trying to get athletes to come forward. I had a kid that messaged me the other day, and he just said that I inspire him. He's a 26-year-old kid. I inspire him. He looks up to me. He went through similar things that I did. He bought my book. He read it from cover to cover. He said it resonated with him. It gave him some fire to get back. And because of what happened to us as a kid doesn't define us who we have to be. So what I'm trying to do is get athletes to come forward, because in football, let's face it, there are a lot of guys that have been abused and bullied and stuff like that, because we use that as an outlet. So I'm just going to use the sport of football, but there's a lot of sports out there. I'm calling on athletes, especially, to come forward and tell your story. What happened to us isn't embarrassing. if we play for our communities support our teams. They buy tickets, they do sponsorships, they do all stuff to give us an opportunity to play the damn sport, you know, and then spin off and do podcasts and get university degrees and all that kind of stuff that we're so fortunate to get from the sport. But what pisses me
Right.
off is that we're selfish because we're not sharing our true story. You know, so for me standing up in the 6'5", 290 and saying, listen, guys, I was raped over 200 times. I was a pincushion. Okay. I've told my story. I'm standing up for everybody saying, listen, everyone else come up and tell your story, because the more people come up and talk about it, the more mainstream this becomes. The more mainstream this becomes, it becomes easier for people that have been abused. Because in that letter that kid said to me, he said that he's never told anybody about this and talked about it, but he's glad that it's my voice. And hopefully my voice will bring more people to the trough. So we need to get athletes to come forward if they've been abused. Reach out to me. Come on my Instagram, message me on Messenger, whatever. It's about telling the story and helping others. And it heals you, because I
Yeah.
kept this up inside for 55 years. I went through marriages like toilet paper. I did this and this. My life was destroyed. I had problems in relationships. I had problems parenting. I mean, I didn't know how to parent, you know, like all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And the anger that it eats at your soul. So I want the athletes to come forward and tell their story, because it's going to make it braver for these kids to come forward. And if we can get these 10 and 12 and 14-year-old kids to come forward and meet people like I met Bruce and change that direction in life. Because I'll tell you something, if I didn't meet that black man driving that black Mercedes that day, I'd be dead or in jail today.
Wow.
You know, it was an athlete that saved my life. And we have so many athletes out there that can do so much good
That's right, man.
after their career. You know, football. I had a talk with one of my friends there, Randy Chevrier. He played. Oh, crap. He even tried back at 47 to play in pro in the CFL. He's a snapper. And he's got a podcast and stuff like that. And I messaged him the other day because I felt dead inside when I walked off the field, because you think that you've lost your identity. And he reminded me that all players have done certain things in their lives, but I'm not just being defined as a football player. I have a message and I've got a platform and I've got a purpose. And my purpose is to try to make change. We can't expect the politicians to come to our rescue. We can't do this. It's up to us as athletes, as role models, to come forward. Whether you're the star high school player, college player, pro player, it doesn't matter. In your community, you're still
That's
looked
right.
at. Come forward with your story, share it, make an impact. That is where I feel that I'm alive again, because of what Randy said to me. And it was an important thing that to remind me that this is what I'm here for. And Coach Trimble, I talked to Coach, and he was my junior coach, and I owe a lot to that man. And he always has a way. He's the guy to control your mind, control your body, and I preach that to all the kids. And I looked at him. I was talking to him last year, and I said, Coach, I said, you know, my body let me down when I was younger. And he's a spiritual guy. And he said, no. He said, God had another plan for you. God got your body ready for today.
Yeah.
You know,
Hey,
Yeah,
so,
man.
so that
Facts.
that is that is a powerful point to look at. So I'm carrying a torch for abused kids. I'm carrying it to try to help them. People buy my book, read it. If you've been abused, read my book. It will help you figure a roadmap in your own way to deal with the things. You don't need to go to a psychologist. You don't need to do that. You got to find that one person that you can trust. And that was Bruce. I could tell Bruce my story and I could sound off and stuff like that. Find a person you're comfortable with. Once you're comfortable, then you get help. But, you know, if you're not comfortable getting a psychologist like that, do something that's positive that's going to make that pain go away, or turn that pain into love. Turn that
Yeah.
pain into mentorship. You know, W- we've got a lot of problems in this world, and homelessness is one of them. And if you went and walked down any of your streets that you're on and you took a survey and you asked those guys how many of them would have been abused, you'd be surprised. So if we can reach these kids at a younger age, reach them, because they give up on life. They don't give a shit anymore. They're just they've accepted that. But if we can catch them when they're younger, when they've been abused by these asshole pedophiles, we can make a change. We can dent things. And you know, it's not going to happen overnight. It's a process. But we need the athletes to come forward, tell their stories, because I'm not the only one that was abused. You know, I wasn't the only one that was bullied. There's guys out there that have just slipped up and they're embarrassed or what have you. Come forward, tell your story. Let's make a change. You know, like everything in life, you know, we all adjust to things in life. People don't look at me as a guy that was raped. Oh, that guy's gay or something like that because was raped as a 5-year-old. That's part of the thing you think of. I'm far from that. It's just this is the stigma that goes along with it. It's by all of us standing up and saying something, we can make a change. And that's what I'm trying to do. So my book, I think, helps people to understand. And the proceeds, I give the proceeds of the book to the Boys and Girls Clubs. My jersey is going down to Amarillo, Texas, to be auctioned off at an auction there. And the money's going to go to the Boys and Girls Club of Amarillo, Texas.
You did that before.
Wow.
So
Cool.
I don't need the jersey. I got the memory. But, you know, somebody wants that on their wall with my autograph on it and a picture and a plaque along with my helmet, they can have that. I want that money to go into a program to help the kids out. You saw there's pictures there where the kids from the Boys and Girls Clubs, where I was signing autographs and stuff with them. I brought them there. I took the kids bowling before my home games. I took the kids, rented a movie theater, and took the Boys and Girls Club to movie theaters. That's the stuff that I do away from this camera.
Right.
And, you know, it's about showing kids love and respect and telling them that, hey, this big guy up here loves you.
Yeah. Good community
And that's,
service.
and both you guys have that power too. You know, you can go down and help out in your community. You can do the things. You don't have to be molested and raped or beaten or bullied. Just be a good human being and be an athlete and go down and inspire these kids and be a good role model. That's what it's all about. Because if we don't, then we're all selfish assholes.
That's true.
It's all about us. It's all about how much money. It's all about this. It's all about that. Well, no, it's not about the money. It's about doing the right thing.
Oh yeah, man.
Definitely.
Making an impact for the youth.
So that's all. You know, I've got a few years left on this planet, and I'm hoping that in these few years that I have left, I can start to see change, and I can start to see athletes come forward and start doing the right thing. Because, you know, it's time that we stand up and start doing something.
Yes, sir.
And I'm tired of hearing about football players in jail or football players arrested for doing stupid shit and all this kind of stuff. Tone it down. You're just an athlete. You get a paycheck. You catch a football. You throw a football. You tackle a guy. We're not rocket scientists. We're not doing all this stuff. People come out to watch us play. That's it. Let's just tone it down a little bit. You're fortunate to get those checks and that money because the fans come into the stands and support the team and support your ass. Give back to the community. I'm a huge fan of Shaquille O'Neal.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that man there he's my idol. You know, like that guy does so much for so many people without all the accolades and stuff. He's making a change. He's making people's lives better.
Yeah, he's the definition of a big man.
Yeah, and you know, if we could all have a little shack in us, we'd be all right. But at the end of the day, you know, it's about giving back because we're so blessed to get paid and play the sport and have a living doing something that we love to do. And when it's over, we can give back to the community. We can do things. It can define us, and we don't have to have that empty feeling of like, geez, I've retired. I mean, as a quarterback, you know, it's a university. When you left that and come out, you're not playing football anymore. As a quarterback, you're the heart of the team. Now, when you walk away from that, it must have felt pretty shitty for a little bit.
Well, speaking of heart of the team, let's go ahead and get into a clip. This is like your last game, last time you put on a uniform. 61 years old. Then we'll talk about how you feel about that a few days later, okay?
Oh, I can tell you, yeah, I can tell you about that. Anytime you guys want to have me back on the show, I'd love to be back on it.
All right. We're going to go and get into this clip for everybody that's watching. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel, hit that notification button. We have former Canadian Football League defensive lineman Darin Burns, all right? Let's go and get into this clip. We don't own it. Please don't sue us, Darin.
And ladies and gentlemen, I would like to just say a little bit of a thank you here to number 61, Darin Burns from the Longhorns, finishing up his career playing for the Longhorns here and finishing up in this championship game. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Definitely make some noise for him out there. He's done a lot for this league.
All right.
But when you see that,
Good stuff.
I'm pointing up to Bruce and pointing that is to my girl.
Okay.
All
That's
right.
the important things in my life.
What's up?
That's
So
right.
let me ask you, how long did you know Drake?
Well, Aubrey, since he was a little snot, because Bruce's kids went to school with him, and then Bruce's daughter dated Drake, and then became his business manager. And Drake was always over, and Drake was he almost ran my daughter over at Bruce's funeral with his entourage and his car, and he was at the funeral. And when I did Bruce's
Oh, no.
eulogy, Drake had a weird way. He says the big white guys got it rolling. He just tweeted out. He says because I when I was doing Bruce's eulogy, there was like 5,000 people there. It's packed. People were outside and stuff like that. And I noticed there was a bit of a racial tendency going on because Bruce was a minister, so you had the white ministers, you had the black, and everyone was kind of showing themselves up and stuff like that, right? So I kind of like, okay, I got to get on. So I was supposed to be on for 4 minutes. I was on for 17 minutes. I got 3 standing ovations. I almost had everyone pissing themselves laughing in a funeral. And I told a story about. If you got a couple seconds, it was about Bruce and I. Bruce always did everything better than me. He was better at this, better at that, better at that. And I always say it was okay to be number 2 to a guy like that. But I said I'm going to take him to the whitest sport I know, fishing in northern Manitoba and Canada. So I get Bruce. We fly up in a private plane. We get into a helicopter, go onto an island, and the helicopter. Bruce was bigger than the bloody helicopter. And he for a black guy, he looked pretty white when he was sitting in there. He's all frozen up and stuff like that. And we get up to the camp, and we're going up fishing. So he's in one boat with my son. I'm over with another one fishing. Guess who caught the biggest fish of the day? Bruce. The second day, Bruce. The third day, he caught the biggest fish again. So now I'm getting pissed. So I go to the tackle box the night before and I take out all the big lures and I leave them all the shitty lures. So we're out there fishing. And now you got to remember, Bruce is a minister. So all of a sudden I can hear across the bay, hey, boy, look. And he pulls up and he's holding this hog, this monster fish. And I'm like, what the like how the hell did he do it? It's impossible for him to do it. And then he yelled out, he says, when you got God on your side, and I looked at him and I said, well, I hope he can make you swim because black guys can't. I hope he can make you walk on water because black guys can't swim. And the whole place just went completely crazy and stuff like that. 'Cause I was going to go to the boat and throw his ass into the water because he beat me that weekend. So that was one of the stories that I told at the funeral. And yeah, I really miss the man. He was an amazing man. I mean, the things he did for me, like like I said, he was the first person ever showed me unconditional love. And a fun thing in my book, my dad was adopted, and everyone used to call me Bruce's kid and Bruce Smith, so Darin Smith and all that kind of stuff. Anyhow, I found out that when I was doing the research, my dad was adopted, and his dad was an alcoholic and a violent person up in Manitoba, actually, and my dad's birth name was Linton. My name is Darin James Burns, but my dad's birth name was Linton James Smith. So if my dad never got adopted, my last name would have been Smith. So I end my book where it says that I talk about that, and I said I was always meant to be a Smith, but only Bruce's.
Oh man, that's dope for real. So Bruce, let me ask you, how do you feel after playing your last game last Saturday? Like, what's on your mind now? Real short, we're running out of time.
Yeah, sore as hell. My shoulders are killing me. I had one guy say, "Ben, you can't leave. You can't walk away with not winning the championship. You got to go back for one more year." My body heard that and ran the other direction. My mind was like, "Hey, I can still do it," but my body was going the other way. I could probably play another 4 years if I really wanted to 65, and that would give me 7 decades because I'm the only football player ever playing 6 consecutive decades. So in competitive football in the world. So it's kind of and I could pull off the 7, but my girlfriend would kill me. I think my body would run the other way. So, but it's like I said, I felt dead inside, and that's why I reached out to Randy to talk to him, because you got to talk to these guys who've been playing for a long time, and like, without the past, there's no future. So we always got to respect the players of our past. So when I go and I'm leaving the game, and it's like, okay, I'm struggling with this mentally about this, go talk to a guy that played in the past. And Randy's the kind of guy that's open ears, and he talks to you and put some perspective into your career and makes you feel better and puts you back in line and things. So I felt dead inside, sore. Um, yeah, it was a very numbing feeling walking off the field. Like my son was there, and I didn't even get a picture with him because my brain was in outer space. But I've been truly blessed to play this game for 47 years. I don't know how old you guys are, but I've been belting people around for 47 years.
45, man.
Okay, you weren't even a scratching in your dad's pants when I started playing. So it's I've been it's been a long time, and I've got some amazing friends. I've been fortunate, like I don't have a family in a sense that from that, but I've got over 2,000 brothers, and I'm still close with them today. So like it's it's just an amazing sport, and I want all the guys that aren't listening to this show respect the game, because the game will respect you back. It's truly a great game.
Yeah.
And like, again, get back, give to your community, go help some kids out. I'll tell you something: if you're looking for a rush, there's nothing like seeing a kid that's really down on his luck and you put a smile on his face. Bruce had a saying that's in the Bible: faith without works is dead. You can pray all you want, you can do all these things. Prayer doesn't do anything. Prayer is what Christians do to make themselves feel good. What you need to do is go do the work and then pray. If you see a homeless guy on the street, go buy him a sub. Put your hand on his shoulder and tell him he's worth it, and then go pray for him. Just don't go look at him and go, oh, your prayer. It doesn't put any food in his belly. It doesn't do anything. The message doesn't get it. So you have to do the work to find the success. Like, if you want to be a millionaire, God's not going to give you because I'm praying I'm going to be a millionaire. You got to go and work. There might be faith will bring you that direction if you believe in it. But what you have to do is you got to do the work.
Yeah. That's right, man. Hey, you have any shout outs before we head out?
No, I just want to say hi to my girlfriend, and just want to say hi to all my friends and my followers. I've been truly blessed to have 8 million people look at this 61-year-old this month between Instagram and Facebook.
Impressive.
It's like, I got one clip on Instagram that I'm just walking off the field with no shoulder pads on just before game warm up, and I got almost 3 million views on that. Like, really? Okay, I'll take it. I mean, obviously my word's getting out. I had I had messages from guys from over in Europe, and I had guys from down in the States. And there's one guy at the States he said, I was at an all-star game a month ago, and everyone was talking about you. And he says, I just want you to know that you got a bigger base than you know.
Man.
Nice, man.
I've been getting so many people giving me so many well wishes and stuff like that. I'm just truly honored, and it's been a true blessing to do this. Now I just want to be a good boyfriend and get on with my life and try to make some changes in the world before I leave this planet.
So, Bruce, your honest opinion, what you think about the Sports Shop 27?
Hey, you guys are great. I love it. It's a great thing. I'll be following you guys, and if you ever want me on again later on, talking, because I'm going to get into men's mental health and things like that to try to bring this platform bigger. I'd love to have you guys. I'd love to be on it again.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Hey, and if you know any athletes like yourself that like to come on the show, please reach out to us. We'll let
I will definitely do that.
All right.
Thank you. Well, we appreciate you coming on the show, Darin. It was a pleasure having you on.
Man.
Well, I picked up 2 more brothers today.
Yeah, hey man.
Hey, there you go. That's right, man. Hey, invite us to Canada. Tell us what it's all about. We come hang out with you.
We're gonna come hang out with Drake's uncle,
Yeah. Well, yeah. You come down to Toronto, and we can go break through the barricades at his place. He had a break in a while back, so we could go do that.
Oh man, make your shot, man. Okay.
So,
But
but
like
yeah,
I was gonna say, yeah, we love to have you back on the show. Let everybody know where they can get your book.
yeah, on Amazon or Kindle, it's 61 Never Forgotten. It's a story about my life and Bruce's life and how we connected and how I overcame obstacles in my life. And it's a pretty dark book in some areas because I want to be very descriptive in it because that's the way we get people's attention. But then it goes on to talk about how I came out of it and bounced out of it. And I've got people that have meant something to me that they've been interviewed in the book. And it's just Jody Johnson. I got to give her so much love and credit because she's the one that really put this together for me, and she did an amazing job on the book. It's not a hard read; it's a couple hours, but if you want something to read, it's a good book to read. It's a down to earth book. There's no bullshit. It's I've kept it to a point that it's easy. It's actually got big letters too, so it's easy for to read for us old guys and stuff. Or like you guys aren't that old, but I'm old. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's just a it's a great book, and I know that I already know that it's already affecting people's lives and stuff like that because they've been messaging me and stuff. So if you get a chance, 61 Never Forgotten. It's on Amazon or Kindle, or in Canada it's at Chapters on the bookstores and stuff like that. And yeah, it's just I it's my first book. I might have another one. I don't know, but right now. Um, yeah, it's out there. Get it, order it, or get it Kindled and just read it on your iPad or what have you. All the money goes to help kids out. It doesn't go to me.
All
All right.
righty. Well, we appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah,
Everybody,
man. Thank you.
make sure y'all subscribe to the channel.
Yep.
Had a CFL former football player, defensive lineman Darin Burns, played 47 years professionally and just played his last game this past Saturday. You guys can also purchase our
But
merchandise on bonfire.com. You can follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Deezer, Facebook, and Instagram. All right. You guys know how we end the show every night. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. Until the
that's right,
next,
man. Keep going.
be safe and stay blessed. All right.
Thank you, guys.
That's
Peace.
right, man. Thank you,
Hey,
man.
thank you. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Bye.